Oh man, that is one way to create a mountaintop. And now I get to jump off with without a parachute. Because after that, what else do I need? Holy moly, that was amazing. All right, I do, however, need some notes. Just a couple of notes. When I was a little girl, I was exposed to a teaching that believed in the power of the mind above all other things. Some of you, not the young adult group. Some of you, white hairs with me, gray hair, white hairs. You remember Kreskin?
Yes. Yeah.
Remember the image of Kreskin? He was like a magician, mind reader, card tricker person, you know. But what the serious part of what he did, he was part of introducing the world to the potential of your mind, even though he did it in a fun, entertaining kind of way. So the mind over matter you would be laughed at if you brought it up in a lot of mixed company. You'd be laughed at, you would be dismissed, and people would, just basically say, where are you going on Sunday mornings? Okay? So I know that. I get that. But I know you know. Because there's probably nobody in this room that hasn't at some point had the kind of experience where the phone rings and you know who it is before you pick up the phone. Have you had that experience? Yes. Okay. Or where you wanted to talk to somebody and then they call, right? You know that experience. Have you ever been guided to go down a particular road and found out, oh, I'm so glad I went there because the other one was clogged with traffic or an accident, right? That is a form of mind working for you. When we focus our attention on our children in the back of the room, you see us do this. We're not hailing our children. There is an energy and a natural energy flow through the body. Almost nobody denies it anymore. We're finally at the place where most medical doctors get, okay, something's there. Most medical doctors, not all, but a lot, but even your chiropractors back in the day when chiropractors didn't quite admit to energy flow or meridians, even they're getting on board. So there is just a flow. Does anybody think I'm crazy yet? Okay, so do you understand what I'm... My husband raised his hand. It's a loaded question. Okay. There's times when you feel good, and you feel good. You know that the body feels good. And there's times when you don't feel good, and you can experience that. There's a lot of comparison or metaphor about how the flow of life, the flow of energy, the flow of water, okay? And how if you stop the flow of water at some point, the water doesn't get to the places that need it downstream, right? So when we're not in the flow, when our physical bodies are not in the flow, then there's stiffening and there's pain and the discomfort. And I'm looking at an acupuncturist in the room, so she's clear. I'm good so far, right? Okay. That's also said regularly, having to do with prosperity. If you don't allow your prosperity to flow, there is a binding down, and you shut off from your source. Because in order for anything to be healthy and for anything to move, there must be flow. What happens when we are in emotional pain, or you're angry, or you really believe someone's harmed you in some way, even if it was just an insult, you shut off very often. When we're not in good practice, we shut off. The problem is, some of us think, well, if I shut off or I protect my heart, I'm safe. Not so. when I protect my heart and I guard my heart, not only am I not allowing you to hurt me, I'm not letting love in. A lot of the pain and pressure that we feel in life, we think is stuff coming down over us. What is actually happening in your unknown ways, in your untrained ways, until we are in good practice, it's not that something's coming down on us. We're so pressured because we're keeping our good back. So we're actually responsible. I have, as part of a reading here today, I got rid of that one because it was too long, but a story from Viktor Frankl. You know who Viktor Frankl is, a psychologist who survived the concentration camps. I'm inspired by his work and his readings always. The man, I'll read one thing from him. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. I think he knew about that. Everything can be taken away from a man, a woman, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstance, to choose one's own way. The least skilled, the newest individual within this teaching, arriving at a place such as this, still has the equal choice, the equal ability to make those choices. The only thing that differs between you and a more experienced student is that we are practicing it on a regular basis out of a habit of dedication. So, in order for mind to be over matter in a way that you want it to be, the first thing you have to do is mind your mind. That's the first thing we have to do. Now, I was always taught in the past that to change a habit, it takes 21 days, and then I've heard 30 days, and I've heard 40 days because of the number, the symbology of completion. But while at conference, we heard this wonderful speaker. He was really wonderful, and he goes into corporate America as a mole because he's a religious scientist. So he's practicing the science of mind, but he's teaching individuals and executives what you learn here, but at a place where it's really needed. He said that through the research that he's done, he found out to create a new habit, it can take as little as 66 days. And for some new habits, it can take as much as 240 something. I don't remember what that second number is. So what that says to us is that when we're in a place where we decide to refocus our attention, that we have to refocus our attention for quite a long time. So when we focus our hands at the children, it's because we are anticipating there's a flow, that our body represents flow. So anyone in a healing art knows what I'm talking about, okay? So if you have never experienced this, let's just try it for a second. I can do it pretty easily without rubbing my hands together, but for some of you, sometimes it's easier just to rub your hands together and you get that feeling started. Now put your hands together. Some of you might have to go this close, some will go this. Sometimes when we're practiced, we can actually feel the energy to a much wider degree. So just feel that. Can everyone feel that? If you can't, don't worry. Just do it again. Do it again another time and another time. But get to the point where you can sense that this is not an empty space. There's something moving. So this is where we're focusing our hands for this purpose. But what happens is, you can put your hands down. So what's happening in this space here, this is not empty. There's movement. There's activity happening all around us. And One of the things those of us who are part of the center hear all the time, wow, when I walked into the sanctuary, I felt like I was home. It felt right. It felt good. Whatever these things are. That people walk in, and very often, just by coming in the sanctuary, they can leave behind worries and thoughts and concerns because they're entering into a space where there are so many of us who are in practice. If you are not in practice, if you are not investing daily practice in your spiritual practices, it will be a little more difficult for you to experience the things I'm talking about on a regular basis. However, for those of you who do practice, good for you. But coming from no practice to a practice, there's no mystery around it. It's not difficult. It could begin by reading a piece of a spiritual book, having a few minutes of silence on a daily basis. It doesn't have to be complicated, but something must happen in order for you to break the cycle of waking up, getting going, shaving, showering, and doing the things you do. You have to interrupt the pattern and create a new habit. From the youngest of us to the eldest of us, this is true for all of us. So you're willing to experiment with me? Can we play for a few minutes? Okay. Did someone say no? Did I actually hear that? Okay. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But I want you to experience how all of your life actually lands in the body. Okay? Because this is energy slowed down. That's what your body is. It is the condensed energy. You understand that? Okay. Your body never lies. When something's going on in your body, there's something going on in your mind or your heart or your spirit. It never lies. It doesn't know how to lie. It's a direct reporting system. So I want you to have an experience of what lands in your body and the effect of that, okay? So what I'd like you to do first, everyone close your eyes. I am going to ask you to maybe move your seat if you're not near somebody in just a minute. So close your eyes, if you will, and you jump in, choir and everybody. And take 3 deep, relaxing breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. Feel that movement, feel the energy shift, feel yourself get grounded. And get to neutral. Do everything you can to leave any worry or concern behind you and come to neutral. Feel the room. Feel the love that's in this room. Maybe that's not even neutral. Just get to neutral to the best of your ability. Now I'm going to ask you for a moment to recall in your memory right now, or maybe something current, a relationship that's currently challenging you. A relationship that you are judging, in upset with, something that's pushing you to be in spiritual practice because it's not smooth and easy. Recall it until you can feel it. And then when you can, open your eyes. First, let me just ask one question. By a show of hands, are you able to feel what that relationship feels like in your body? Okay. What I'd like you to do is turn to someone. So now just find a partner real quick. However, and if it's too inconvenient, you want to do 3 of you, that's okay. And for one moment, just for a moment, because I don't want us to exaggerate this feeling. I want you to complain about that person or judge them. You are complaining or judging the person I asked you to imagine when your eyes were closed. Okay? So just for a moment, complain and judge about that person to someone. Okay. Stop wherever you are. Stop wherever you are and close your eyes right away. Stop talking and close your eyes right away. What does your body feel like? Can you feel it? What does your body feel like? Tune in right now. Close your eyes and tune into your body. Feel the physical ramifications of complaining, blaming, and judging someone. Feel the physical ramifications. Can you feel that? It's very real. Is it not very real? Okay. Now I'll never leave you there. Ever. Okay? Close your eyes again. Call to mind someone you love and that you adore, and a relationship that's positive for you and nurturing and loving and all good in every direction. I see smiles on faces as soon as I said that. Now turn and share about that person to the people you were just speaking to and how much you love them. Okay. If you will, complete your sharing, please. And if you will, close your eyes again, please. Tune into your body temple. Shh, 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 shh. Tune into your body temple. What does that feel like? Much better. Tranquil. Lovely. What else? Freeing. What? Spacious. Amazing. Boundless. Okay. You got, anybody up there want to share what it feels like? Joy. This is real. A body that complains, gossip, bemoans, and judges is the house of disease. It is the house of sickness. But a body that loves, holds someone high, practices forgiveness, all starts with the mind and the focus. But a body that is filled with that is a body of healing and wholeness and beauty and expansiveness. Feels real, right? This is real. So when we go out into the world, depending upon the house that you are carrying with you at any given time, that's how you are influencing the world around you in total silence. I had this delightful conversation last night with this, I don't know how old she was, this sweet old Irish-Scottish woman. Her name was Mabel. What a great name. Isn't that great? And someone was asking me about the center, and we were talking about it, and she turned to me, she goes, yeah, really, it really is important that we just show up that way. And it's really all about how we treat people and how we are and how we walk into a room. I'm like, yes! It was great. How do you walk into the room? What did you carry in here today? Now, that's not to say you don't have issues, that you don't have real things. That happens. But that's why we have spiritual practitioners and spiritual practices. That's why we have a forgiveness practice. That's why we do that work. Because when we've cleaned house, we're potent. When we have not cleaned house, we're not so potent. So, what does happy feel like? Right? Like, isn't there a feeling? Don't you just look in the mirror at yourself when you're having a good day and you can say, oh, it's a good day. People like us, that are in this teaching, especially those of us for many, many years, or if you go to a conference, you'll see 70, 80-year-old people. These are not normal 70 or 80-year-old people. These are people who look alive and they're vivacious and they look amazing. It's just amazing. Age, I mean, I won't even tell you, there's someone amongst us who told, a few weeks back, I don't know why age came up, but I asked her age, and I still don't think she's telling the truth. I still think she's 20 years younger than what she told me. That's her mind being over the matter of her body, because your body is matter. Your body is slowed down, condensed energy. So when we are active, and when we are happy, and when we are full, and when we are forgiving, happy looks good. And it's better than any plastic surgery or any medications. And it's safer. This is true. And it's safer. So, what I want to tell you, there are many people doing lots of research on the effect of the mind and the vibration that you bring to it on the body and your health. So I did a little research last night, and there's this institute called the Heart Math Institute. Anybody know about the Heart Math? You should look them up. They have lots of great and potent and scientifically grounded concepts that, for those of you who like the science of this stuff, it'll seriously satisfy the scientist in you. The Heart Math Institute. Heart Math Institute. Yes, you're welcome. Greg Braden did a lot to introduce the Heart Math Institute to the world, and Greg Braden is a scientist and not the warmest, fuzziest guy, but by the time you're done talking to him, you leave with lots of hope, because the science that he produces or that he makes reference to is so empowering. So the Heart Math Institute is a great place. There's a book in the bookstore, I hope it's in the bookstore, called It's the Thought That Counts by David Hamilton. I spoke about him to you over a year ago. Let me quickly tell you. He was a scientist his work was to create molecular something, I don't know. Sorry. And whenever you study anything in the pharmaceutical industry, you must experiment with placebo. You must, it's required. Well, he got so fascinated with placebo and the effect of placebo that he left his old work behind, because he figured, wow, if this works here now, this can work always. And so now all of his research is how powerful, positive, loving thinking affects the body, affects the DNA. Now, he's not alone doing this. There's a lot of amazing people doing this. But I want to just read to you a little piece of the conclusion of an experiment they did, because it was too long and complicated. So this is from the Heart Math Institute. The results extend our initial observation that coherent heart energy generated during the loving state can alter the conformation of DNA in solution. This study was the first to correlate electrophysiological, measures of ECG with biological changes occurring outside the body. We have also observed a correlation between coherent heart energy and the humoral immune system by measuring changes in salivary IgA. Sorry, don't know what that is. This coherent heart energy can produce biological effects both inside and outside the body. All right, it goes on. Let's simplify it. Your chosen state of love has a powerful effect on your body temple. Not only on your body temple, but on the body of others. They have done other experiments where they took people and they separated DNA and they isolated the DNA. Then they incited an emotion in the individual. I think it was the military who did this. And when they incited the emotion in the individual, the separated DNA responded. And they did that to the point where the DNA was separated by miles. The DNA still responded. How does that happen? How does that work? Energy. energy. Not even magic. It's magical, but it's not magic. It's actually scientific. That says the space between you and me, that there's activity. You hear that? The space that you contain, both in your physical condensed energy body and the space around you, that there's activity and there's potency and there's power. And not one of us can afford to not be responsible to that space that we contain. You don't walk in a room just containing this. And the more potent you are, the more you contain. You walk into a room containing this. And you know what it feels like. You ever have somebody walk into a room that's joyful and happy, like the kind of person you're always glad when they show up? You feel the room change, don't you? And then you see somebody walk in who's that life-sucking negative Nelly, and you're like, oh. Right? You know the feeling? You know the feeling. It's visceral. Your mind has power over matter. We're not even going to go into kinesiology or telekinesis. I'm not even touching that. All I'm concerned with is your happiness, your health, your wholeness, and that of your family, in your household. This is one form of household, but then this household affects the household that you live in, that you come from. And that household and the household of you affects this community. So sometimes you walk in, because I don't want to make you think that you can't walk in here feeling sad. Come feeling sad. You want to cry? Cry. We're good. We're good with that. Because the one thing about community, the one really important reason for community is that we hold up each other when in a moment we're not doing it for ourselves. That's why you come here on Sunday mornings, because you can get this anywhere. We're not new. You can get it anywhere. But the vibration that we bring to each other, the condensed vibration that we bring to each other, is here in the 662 Eagle Rock Avenue. And that's why we get together. Holmes says, we all use the creative power of universal mind every time we use our own mind. Every time. Not sometimes. When you think you're not being listened to, you think that God or intelligence isn't paying attention, not so. Every word you speak, every thought you think is something that Spirit is acting upon. I'm sorry to say to you, there's no downtime. There's no downtime. He also said, trained thought is far more powerful than untrained. And the one who gives conscious power to their thought should be more careful what they think than the one who does not. Because once those of us who are practicing and we're trained, once we're trained, now we have even a greater relationship with the divine. And through that divine relationship, that more potent relationship, Spirit's right there, right away. There's even less of a delay, by far less. So I want to give you something that you can do. So for a beginner, you can do, this is something that a beginner can do, or even an advanced metaphysician can do. And it might sound a little oversimplified, but we're talking about the habit, changing the habits of the use of the mind, which is a muscle. Okay? When I was, did I have Seth yet? I might have still been pregnant with Seth, so we're talking 20 years ago. It was a really, really, really hard time in my life. It was dark, and there were relationships around me being pulled apart, and other, family members, and my marriage was ending. It was hard. It was a hard time. And I was like grasping at straws because I wasn't really plugged in. I didn't have my spiritual practices in place, and I didn't know what to do. But I suddenly had this thought, and this is before Oprah made it popular. I thought to myself, I need to focus my attention on what's working. I know, I need to do that. That's what I need to do. So I took out a journal, and every single night, I wrote down what was working in my life. And you've heard me say it in classes. I repeated a lot of things because sometimes I didn't feel like I had anything. And sometimes what I wrote down is I could open my hands and close my hands on my own. I can step out of bed on my own. I just needed to find something that was working. And then I committed to reading it in the morning before I got out of bed. So that became a habit for a long period of time. I recently found the journal when I moved. I could tell that it was from a dark moment, but it was a moment where I began to re-exercise my mind. And my mind became friendly. It became a friendly place, all right? Because we want our minds to be a friendly place. So what you do is you take anything, a journal, a pad, I don't care what, but write it down with your hand. Try not to use the computer, because there's something about you touching pen to paper that's just powerful and lovely. And every night, write down what worked on that day. What did you find yourself doing right? Were you kind to somebody on that day? Did you remember to pray? Did you remember, whatever it is, record the workings of you and then read it before you get out of bed. Now, if you have your bio thing in the morning, go and come back. You know, you might say, I got to go to the bathroom. Come back and read it. And commit to that for as long as you need to get your own attention and exercise your mind to be a friendly place. Okay? Now, if you've been around a while and you have solid spiritual practices in place, you're not done. There's always more. So I'm sitting home with my computer on my lap the other night, and computers can be so much fun, can't they? You know, when they decide to have a little personality, and I'm working on this computer, which I love. I love my computer. It's a Surface. I love this computer. But it has moments. And it was having a moment, and I started to complain out loud. And I thought, no, I've come too far to allow myself to even slip, even if I feel justified. And that's where we sometimes slip up. We feel justified to complain because we're really convinced about something. And I decided no. So the next level of me making my mind a friendly place is I choose to be meticulous with my thinking. I choose not to complain. I choose not to gossip. I choose not to find fault. I choose not to judge anyone at any time for anything. It sounds a little simple. Try it. See what happens. Start first with the blessings. And then as it gets easier, then you work your way into that. And you will find that your mind becomes a friendly place to be. And the house of your being becomes a friendly body of work. Because you are your product. I mean, I know for me, I am my product. I always see myself as my product. You know, because as you engage me, I better be right with who I am. I better be able to show up, right? But you are too. You might not live by the words of your mouth like I do, but you live by the beingness. Whether you work a normal 9-to-5 job or whatever it is that you do, you are always touching lives. The body of your work is your ministry. Yes? Yes. Yeah. So how we all show up matters. We're good? Yes. Does this make sense? Yes. Okay. Let us secure this with treatment, if you will. So I invite you to hold the hand of somebody next to you. Take a nice deep breath. Yes. Know with me right now, and I'm going to speak this word in the I am, that I am the place where spirit resides. I am a potent, powerful receptor of good. I accept in and I invite in all good all the time. at every turn. I use my mind, I exercise my mind, and I focus my mind to be a friendly place to be. I focus my mind to be loving and potent and powerful and transformational. I am the place where love resides. I am the place where healing happens. I am the place of good and beauty and compassion. And my I am and your I am are the one I am. The one place. I declare on behalf of each of us that anything that exists in my mind that gets in the way, that I release it. I choose it to be healed and made whole. And I release it, never again to interrupt who I am or my way of being. I am the miraculous, the magical, the glorious. I am the place where the divine plays. It has its way with me because I get out of the way. Oh, this is so good and so sweet and so amazing. I am the very evidence of awesome. Repeat that after me, please, or with me. I am the evidence of awesome. Yes. So knowing and accepting this truth, that's a prayer request. Knowing and accepting this truth, I simply live into the gratitude of life itself. And for this and so much more, I celebrate this word and I release this word. And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you.